Hello and peace be with you. This is Kaylee from Kaylee's Household, and I am back to review the new show called Hack My Home. And I have more good things than bad things to say about this first episode. I love how, let's start off with the team. Okay, the team is construction, design, innovation, and engineer. Construction, I believe her name is Ati. Design, I didn't write his name down, but innovation is Brooks, and engineer is Jessica, who continues on to brag about the fact that she went to MIT. And the designer makes fun of her for it later in the episode. But anyway, so so I'm gonna just get it right into it. In the Westbrooks in Atlanta, they have 4 boys, 9, 7, 4, and 2. They have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Looks like a 2-story or 3-story home. No, it's probably 2-story. Well, yeah, it's probably 2-story, including the basement. Which, number one, I thought this was odd that they even had a basement in Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of homes in the South do not have basements, so that was one thing that I found interesting. Must be in a place that like doesn't get flooded or whatnot. And I know Atlanta has like lots of hills, so I'm sure there's plenty of real estate that does have basements, but I'm just saying in general it is rare to come into a home in the South and it have a basement. Nonetheless, so their main issue is balancing, try to get the camera focused. Main issue is trying to balance the play space with the workspace, and that's huge, for families, especially the ones that are working at home. And I really give it to parents that are working at home and caring for their children at home. They're essentially working two, 3, 4 jobs, and just trying to manage that. But I love that for them. I love that for anybody. If you can be around your children, even if you're not like strictly engaging with them, just being around them more just creates like a sense of security in my opinion. Like they just feel safer, growing up when they see your face more and you're not out working, for both the mom and dad. But anyway, but who am I? Whatever. So their playroom, this is the problems I had with this. I'm going to slow down here for you. Drink some ginger ale. This is the problem that I think a lot of parents do. And it is let the children take over the whole home. Now, I am a huge play advocate. I advocate for children to play as much as they can every single day. It is the doorway to wonder and exploration and experimentation. I just think it develops their brain in a really great way. And obviously, I still like to play. And that's why I'm on YouTube. Nonetheless, I just think that, I'm a huge play advocate. So let me start there. However, I am also an advocate for strong boundaries in the home. And as much as kids say that they don't like boundaries, they love boundaries. Okay, let's start there. They love when something is given a name that didn't have a name before, and it allows them to understand the space better. And understanding the space better helps us understand ourselves better and understand ourselves in that space better relative to our environment and the spaces around it. And yada, yada, yada. Anyway, I won't bore you, but I will. So, that was my first problem. The playroom was the living room. I'm already not okay with this. Now I get why the playroom was the living room, because the mom was upstairs, probably cooking, probably just, that's probably her workspace, right? Doing laundry or whatever the case. So she's probably upstairs more, whereas the dad is downstairs more, which makes sense. And I will talk about this at the end as to why this is good and balanced. as far as the masculine and feminine energy in a home. Whether you care or not, I don't care. This is what I'm talking about. Um, and so, yeah, so the living room, playroom situation, I could understand for a toddler to have, a playroom little section or whatever, because you're a toddler and you need, the mom's always around, that kind of thing. But a 9, 7, and 4-year-old, no, you're pushing the boundaries. Y'all need to have first of all, because they play outside. So then they got the playroom, aka living room. Then they have their bedrooms, which they play in. I mean, it's just like, what room isn't a playroom? You know what I mean? At this point, like, once you turn the living room to playroom, it's like it just opens up too many. You need to have a designated playroom, whether that's their bedroom or a separate room, that is not a common space room for adults. And outside, you share that with the dogs or whatever. But yeah, nonetheless, what did I write? Yeah, I put no, too many. So yeah, there's too many. Okay, let's speed this up here. Okay, so then they go into the basement. First of all, I love the storage going down, and they have like cans on the side. Yes to that. Okay, I agree with them. They should be canning, or storing, for the apocalypse. I agree with this, and I agree with that being in the basement, so that it doesn't take up so much space in the kitchen cabinets. So I love the can storage, smiley face. Let's see. Then they go into, I love what they said. The innovator said, it's problem spaces make for multifunctional opportunities. And I'm a huge fan of the innovator. He is a mix between Martha Stewart and Bill Nye the Science Guy or something. I don't know. Maybe not Martha Stewart, because he's not laid back at all. But nonetheless, he is very right-brained, and we'll talk about that as well. How balanced they are as a team, right brain and left-brained, like logical versus creative. So yeah, a lot of wasted space in their basement. They had the insulation. That thing was not up to code. And I think Ati is her name, the construction woman. She was the first one to point that out, baby. She's like, ma'am, this is not up to code. I am breathing in. I need to go to the doctors after this. So that was funny. So then they talk about, so yeah, they're just looking at the problem spaces. And so the opportunity was the basement. This was the huge opportunity. Wasted space. So much wasted space in there, that he tried to make a makeshift green screen, which I really love that he did that. He's trying, and he's presenting well, and I'm sure he's a great therapist, and counselor, and physician, or the things that he works on, because he takes it seriously. And the presentation was there, and A for effort on that green screen, but that was ripped down very, very quickly. And so when they got back together and spoke on the topic of how to redo this basement, because really the project was the basement. They didn't really have to redo the living room. They didn't really have to, it was just that the living room was not a living room. So because of all the toys and things like that. So it really was the basement, was the whole meat and potatoes of this episode. And so the big topic they spoke about first as a team collaboration was doors. And they talked about how this conversation was so progressive, so futuristic, and I loved and enjoyed this conversation because people do not talk about doors enough. Doors are outdated. Doors are so outdated. They are severely I've been in so many homes, guys. Like, this is why I created this channel, because my name is Kaylee and I named it Kaylee's Household. But really, I've been in so many homes. I grew up probably sleeping over dozens of my friends' homes. Then I grew up in growing into staying at people's houses all the time, understanding my own house and how, how it's different. And then I grew up and I did dog sitting, I did house sitting. I still do these things, right? And so I'm someone who has been in many homes, in different places and cities and family structures and things like that, and home structures. And so I just love the dynamics of the home in general, which is why I'm here to talk about this. But nonetheless, yeah, so they go into floor space and how doors take up so much floor space. And they say that moving walls instead of conventional doors, they brought this up. And this is something that I'm sure that you've seen on, social media or something, some Asian, animation, like you see this super futuristic, like, where the walls are moving instead of having doors and things like that. I love this. My thoughts on this is that I agree with that. Traditional doors are outdated and they take up too much space. The one lady brought up like origami doors, and I was like, oh my God, terrible idea. And they shot it down really fast, because anything that folds vertically, and arguably this way, but definitely vertically, is going to take up more floor space than even a traditional door. So hate it. And I'm glad they shot it down. And going back to doors, I think that bringing it kind of back home to what we look at doors and translating that into our own behavior, doors are boundaries in the home. And when we look at doors in a new way, and separation between activities in the home in a new way, we're able to open up our minds and change the way that we look at spaces. And this is so much deeper than just home behavior for me and in general. Like I said, so boundaries, if doors are boundaries, doors in the home, especially commonplace common room area doors, things like that, when they are changeable or they're not traditional, it expands our minds on community boundaries. It expands our minds to the point where we look at a living room and we see more than just a living room. We look at a room and we see more than just a bedroom, right? Any room, arguably, besides the bath, well, I brought this up earlier, can be used in more than one way. So anyway, the Asians know this already, right? We know this already. Y'all know this already. Y'all are in 3023. So anyway, yeah, so I just love that we talked about this doors conversation, because it's deeper and it shows us that we can adjust our traditional way of having boundaries, and sharing space. And it gives us a more community mindedness in the way that we function in spaces that feel safe to us. Does that make sense? Okay, moving on. So, stairs. When they were working on the home, I looked at those stairs, honey. Those stairs, I need to zoom in on this one. Those stairs were so well sanded. I have never seen a better sand job than these stairs. They were so well sanded. I mean, smooth. Whew. So shout out to their carpenter. Anyway, I just put hard eyes for that. Hard eyes on the well sanded stairs. They weren't up to code though. And Auntie was there to remind us these stairs were not up to code. So what they did was they created a little reading nook, and I love this. They didn't know whether to make it a play space or a storage space. Of course, if there were only adults living in that home, they would have thought, oh, let's make that like, a wine cellar, or, more of a storage space for things, probably wine or the cans, right? things like that. But the little reading nook, I love that. Later we find out that they all love to read. So to have extra space to read was really a nice touch. And I love the relationship between the innovator and the engineer. Love how they highlighted this relationship, the art, science, technology, how that all blends together. They just have, I just love their minds and how they worked. And I think this should be highlighted more. I just feel like science should be highlighted more in the home. It should become cool again and that's why I'm here, okay? To make home sciences cool again. Nonetheless, so then they were working on the moving walls, and the engineer talked about how having moving walls creates a mental transition. And I love this, and I want to talk about how we need to this is my plug for Murphy beds, because this is why they should have never took away Murphy beds. Because for me, when I wake up, I make my bed because for me, that's a mental transition of me not sleeping anymore. That's me putting a boundary on myself. I'm not sleeping anymore. I'm done. Tuck it in, wrap it up. I got stuff to do today. But really, I'd love to pop this baby back into the wall. Okay. I'd really love to have that mental transition of sleep to awake. And just as much as you need a transition from work to leisure or to play, or work to, home and things like that. So I love how moving walls was shown as it's a hyper utilization, as she said, for a mental transition. And I love this, and I want us to incorporate this more into American architecture and construction. And it's happening. It's happening, and I'm so excited about it, and that's why I'm so excited to talk about this show. It came just on time. And if you guys like my reaction to this, please like the video and comment and let me know, and follow me on my socials as well, and interact with me there. I'm definitely here to talk about this more, because it means so much to me. And I think that the home is, y'all know how I feel about the home. Anyway, so, and just a little special thing that they had on the 2 entrances under the stairs. Thumbs up on that. I love the creativity of that, and I love how they took into note how the kids would experience that. That's how we keep the little, inner child alive, is to make sure, okay, how would I experience this as a child? Yes, keep the inner child alive. And keep the home a place of safe wonder and exploration. Absolutely. And then I really like the relationship between the construction woman and the innovator as well. And this was when they were making the bookshelf, and it wasn't flushing, as she would say, basically fitting correctly in its place. This is just such a this was such a left brain, right brain conversation. And I love this. And honestly, she's very left brain. And then the innovator guy, I forget his name. Brooks. I don't know. He has curly hair. And he's clearly right brained, right? But they all seem so balanced in this way, where it's like they are so creative, but understand boundaries and understand limits and understand rules. And I love this team. It's just so well balanced. So shout out to the casting director or whoever picked them to get together. And then they were building the light play thing. And this is where the innovator showed me how key he is to this team. Okay? Because Nobody would have come up with this idea. The engineer wouldn't have come. The engineer would, because this whole time I'm like, why do they have an innovator? They have an engineer. Like, I didn't understand. Like, this whole time I was like, what is the innovator's role in here? Because I just felt like the engineer, design, and construction, I felt like they all have enough creativity to like make things that work. But this was the moment where I realized why they need an innovator, because he is able to number one, get in that childlike mindset and balance all of the needs and wants of the family and come up with ideas that are basically this idea of having the light wall with the moving pieces. Honey, you can tell that he's a that he's been around kids and animals, because he understands that they need to keep busy with things. You got to keep them busy with things. You got to tucker them out, like mentally and physically. So I just love this idea of y'all go ahead and play and work on this, make your faces and this and that. Mom and dad are over in here in this quiet ass room. You know what I mean? Like, I just love that. It reminded me of when you give a dog, like one of those toys that has like peanut butter inside. You put peanut butter inside and they're just like chewing on it for hours. Like they do this to young dogs that have lots of energy, to just try to keep them busy. When you tire the mind out, you tire the body out, and vice versa. So it's like you either do physical activities with them, or you make them, their minds work heavy for a period of time so that they can sleep well. So it just reminded me of that. Like, that's just like the peanut butter toy, you know what I mean, for them, for the children. Like, here's a wall of things you could like stick and play with or whatever. So I just love that idea, and it really showed me why, focus, the innovator is on this team. So amazing work on his behalf. And then the engineer said, why do kids love light so much? And this is the part where I'm going to preach. And she said, we're hardwired to love light. And I just want to point that out. The Bible verse, John 8:12. This is why we're hardwired to love light. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So he's the light, the way, the truth, etc., etc. So we're hardwired to love light because we're hardwired to want, seek, and thirst for the truth. And that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I just needed to stick that in there. And then there's also 1 John 1:7, I think, mentions 1 John 1:7 states, but if we are living in the light as God is in the light, then we have fellowship with each other, and the blood of Jesus, his son, cleanses us from all sin. So we are hardwired to love light, to answer her question, because there is a cleansing aspect to it. And physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and it's his light. It's the Lord's light. And so I just wanted to share that word with y'all. And so moving on, that's why kids love light, and we all love light. And I speak on this on that a lot, and I will continue to. So the designer was kind of laying low. He was kind of just helping with everything. I feel like the designer has like the last step in the situation of it all, where it's like he makes it livable, he makes it cozy, like design elements are that. They are design elements, and they come after. the meat and potatoes. They come after all the framework is done. So he was kind of just carrying pillows and carrying like wood and stuff until the very end, and then he had to like do all these, and so yeah, I love that when he was moving furniture and placing things, he knows not to block outlets. And that is a subject that I want to talk about, that just another subject that nobody cares about, but I do. When you are designing a room, not to block any outlets. You think it would be common sense, but it is not. It is not common sense, unfortunately. Okay, moving on. The result of this speakeasy office, which he loved calling it a speakeasy office. What did I write here? Drink storage. Oh, the drink storage side table. Amazing. Love that. Absolute chef's kiss. Okay. We all know that men need their own refrigerator, and this transitions well into my full thesis on this episode, that the basement is masculine and the upstairs, I'd say the first floor and basement, or like lower levels of homes, are masculine and higher levels of homes are feminine. The front of the home is feminine. The back of the home is masculine. I'm sure there's a Bible verse about this, but I don't have time to get into that. I already preached to you earlier in the video. So, the designers and the team understood that, and they do. They won't speak on it, but they understand that there are masculine and feminine spaces to a home. Okay, in order to balance and keep and sustain harmony in the home, you will understand this. And I love that the basement is masculine in a sense that it's his office, and even the play space, it is going to grow into the boys' space. So they mentioned that it's a space that the boys can grow into. I could see them being teenagers and having their friends down there. I could see, and having movie nights, right? I could see them growing up in this space. And that's why they were so appreciative. And just, they're really blessed with this renovation. And I love their family, and I'm so happy for them. But anyway, the mom gets her space back. And she's an artist, and so she probably understands this, but being a mom of 4 boys, God bless her, she, was overrun, obviously, but not anymore, okay? The basement is for the boys, okay? The basement is for the boys, los niños malos, okay? And then upstairs is for the girls, okay? And las niñas simpáticas, I guess you would say. I don't know, who cares? But nonetheless, the upstairs is feminine. And I guess there's a reason why they call it the man cave, right? That's like his little man cave. Like, I just love that. I love when couples have their spaces in a home to exist in their natural energy, okay? The bedroom is like a conjoined energy, so it's not really a feminine space or a masculine space. So it's really, really important for the adults to have their, separate space to be their adult self. For her to be a woman, an artistic woman. Now she has the living room back. Now she has probably her kitchen back. Now she has, what I'm saying? So I'm just so happy for the mom to have her space back and to have her feminine space back. And she probably can sit on her back patio and drink tea or coffee or, iced tea, lemonade in peace and listen to the birds. And all those noisy boys will be in the basement. And I love that for her. And I just want this family to prosper. And they will. So that's my review for episode 1 of Hack My Home. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video and follow me on all socials. And yeah, let's be friends and talk about this. And let me know if you want to hear more reviews. Bye.